From the energetic streets of Buenos Aires to the endless pampas, the Argentine economy was built by some truly powerful and resilient people. For more than 100 years, a handful of visionary Jewish immigrant families have built empires from the ground up, creating some of the most iconic business dynasties in the nation's history. But these aren't just stories about getting rich. They're epic tales of survival, ambition, and starting over. Fleeing persecution in Europe and the Ottoman Empire, they landed in a new world with little more than hope and an unstoppable drive to succeed. They turned barren lands into fertile farms, kicked off new industries, and navigated the country's wild political and economic swings to build fortunes that have lasted for generations. From oil and energy to real estate, medicine, and tech, their influence is part of the DNA of modern Argentina. Today, we're counting down the 10 biggest Jewish family businesses that have left a permanent mark on Argentina. From pogroms to pampas, a story of survival and settlement. To really get how these dynasties came to be, we need to jump back to the late 19th century. In Russia, a wave of horrific pogroms forced millions of Jews to flee for their lives. Right around the same time, Argentina, a young country with tons of empty land, passed an immigration law in 1875 that didn't care about your religion. It was the perfect storm of desperation meeting opportunity. This whole migration was kicked into high gear by one man, Baron Maurice de Hirsch, a Jewish French industrialist and philanthropist. After losing his only son, the Baron dedicated his enormous fortune to a massive project, rescuing the Jews of Eastern Europe. He started the Jewish Colonization Association, or JCA, which bought over 600,000 hectares of land across Argentina. His plan was to turn refugees into farmers, believing that manual labor and a connection to the land would not only give them a way to make a living, but would also help fight anti-Semitism. In August 1889, a ship called the SS Weser docked in Buenos Aires, carrying 824 Russian Jews. They traveled inland and started a colony they called Moisésville, or Moses Town. These settlers, with their beards and Yiddish chatter, became the legendary Gauchos Judíos, or Jewish cowboys. Life on the Pampas was brutal. The immigrants faced starvation, disease, and clashes with local gauchos, but they didn't give up. They built schools, synagogues, Yiddish theaters, and, most importantly, Argentina's first agricultural cooperatives, pooling their resources to survive and then thrive. Moisésville became the heart of Jewish agricultural life, the Jerusalem of Argentina, and a symbol of their incredible resilience. While the Ashkenazi Jews were building farming communities, another wave of immigrants brought Sephardic Jews from the Ottoman Empire, especially Morocco, Syria, and Turkey. Many of them settled in busy Buenos Aires, neighborhoods like Once, and became merchants and traders. They opened textile businesses, shops, and created a vibrant commercial scene that became another foundation for the Jewish community's economic rise. It was from these two groups, the farmers of the Pampas and the merchants of the city, that the seeds of Argentina's greatest family empires were planted. Number 10. The Selecki family, a pharmaceutical pioneer. Kicking off our list at number 10 is the Selecki family, a name that's basically synonymous with Argentina's modern pharmaceutical industry. This dynasty was built by Manuel Selecki, a man who lived the classic immigrant story of brains and ambition. He was born in Poland in 1909 and, at just 16, traveled to Argentina all alone with hardly any money, searching for a better life. And his work ethic was relentless. He worked in a pharmacy by day and studied for his high school diploma at night. Manuel showed up at a key moment in Argentine history when the country was focused on building its own domestic industries. He spotted his chance and in 1938 used his pharmaceutical knowledge and entrepreneurial fire to found Laboratorios Phoenix. Phoenix wasn't just another company, it was a game changer. Manuel Sielecki became the first person to bring penicillin into Argentina, and later, the life-saving polio vaccine. That act alone sealed his legacy, putting his company at the front of public health and innovation. He turned Phoenix into one of Argentina's most important national labs, a real powerhouse in the local market. The family's influence went beyond business, too. Manuel became a respected figure for his work promoting interfaith dialogue. The business kept evolving. In 2010, the global pharma giant GlaxoSmithKline bought Laboratorios Phoenix in a huge deal worth $253 million, a clear sign of the value Manuel had built. But the Sielecki family wasn't done with pharma. They held on to a big stake in another major lab, Ilea, alongside other powerful families like the Sigmunds and the Golds. Then, in a brilliant strategic move in 2017, Ilea, with the Sielecki family as key shareholders, bought Phoenix back, cementing their position as titans of the Argentine pharmaceutical world. Today, Manuel's son, Daniel Sielecki, carries on the family's legacy of business and community leadership, making sure the name remains a force to be reckoned with. Number 9. The Sperling family, kings of retail. At number 9, we have the family behind one of Argentina's most recognized retail brands, Fravaga. The Sperling family built an electronics and home appliance empire that's been a staple in Argentine homes for more than a century. Their story doesn't start with some grand vision, but with a small, practical business that adapted and grew through Argentina's many economic twists and turns. The company started back in 1910, when an Ashkenazi Jewish immigrant from the Austro-Hungarian Empire named Isaac Fravaga founded a business running horse-drawn carriages for people and goods. It was a humble start, but it was a vital service for a growing population. As Buenos Aires modernized, the business evolved. The family moved from transport to selling machinery, and finally found its true calling in home appliances. The Sperling family entered the story through marriage, and under their leadership, Fravaga went from a successful business to a retail monster. They just got the dreams of Argentina's growing middle class and made Fravaga the place to go for everything from the first family TV to the newest refrigerator. Their strategy was simple, but genius. A huge selection, easy financing, and a network of stores so vast they became a familiar sight in cities and towns all over the country. So, what's their secret to surviving Argentina's notoriously volatile economy? That's been their biggest challenge, and maybe their most impressive feat. They've survived hyperinflation, currency crashes, and deep recessions by being incredibly nimble. When times were good, they expanded like crazy, opening new stores and adding product lines. When crises hit, they managed their money with extreme care, ensuring the company's survival while competitors went under. This knack for switching between attack and defense has been the key to their long-term success. Today, Fravaga is more than just a store. It's an institution. Under the Sperling family's leadership, the company has jumped into e-commerce and financial services, offering its own credit cards and loans, basically becoming a retail finance hybrid. While they are intensely private, the family continues to control one of the largest and most durable retail empires in Argentina, a dynasty built not on glamour, but on the quiet, steady work of putting modern appliances into millions of Argentine homes for generations. Number 8. The Terra Tuta family, the digital advertising revolutionary cracking our list. At number 8 is a totally modern story that proves Argentina's entrepreneurial fire is burning bright. This is the story of Gaston Terra Tuta and Aleph Group, a global digital advertising giant born from the rubble of Argentina's economic chaos. Terra Tuta's journey is a masterclass in turning instability into a superpower. Raised in Argentina, Gastón Taratuta was an entrepreneur from a young age, even promoting concerts for bands like the Rolling Stones. In 1996, he moved to the US with just $300 in his pocket, ready to take on the world. He worked his way up at Brazil's biggest internet provider, UOL. But in 2005, when UOL closed its Miami office, Taratuta had a choice to make. With $5,000 of his own money, he founded IMS Internet Media Services. His goal? Connect global tech giants with advertisers in emerging markets. His insight was brilliant. He saw that platforms like Twitter, Spotify, and Microsoft had no good way to sell ads in developing countries, which he saw as a massive, overlooked gold mine. Aleph became the bridge. Taratuta built a business combining custom tech, local sales teams, and a complex cross-border payment system that nobody else could figure out. He was basically democratizing digital advertising for businesses in Latin America, Asia, and Africa. What makes Taratuta's story so Argentine is how he used his experience with economic chaos. In his own words, "Those of us who live in countries with pendular and ambivalent economies are prepared to navigate the vicissitudes of emerging markets. That instability becomes an opportunity. While others saw risk, he saw a world he knew by heart. He understood how to work in markets with crazy currency fluctuations and unpredictable politics, a skill that gave him a huge advantage over his Silicon Valley rivals." The company, rebranded as Aleph Group, exploded. It now operates in over 130 countries, representing the world's biggest tech brands. In 2022, Gastón Taratuta was named EY World Entrepreneur of the Year, the first time in history the prestigious award went to an Argentine. From a $5,000 startup, he built a multi-billion-dollar unicorn, a testament to his vision and his reputation for never taking no for an answer. The Taratuta family's Aleph Group is a new kind of empire, built not on land or factories, but on data, digital access, and the guts to turn chaos into a global business. Number 7. The Maddens family, the titans of aluminum and rubber. At number 7, we have a family whose story is packed with so much industrial might and family drama, it could be its own TV series. The Maddens family has been a dominant force in two of Argentina's most critical sectors for decades: aluminum and rubber. Their story is one of big-picture strategy, political know-how, and some serious family infighting. The dynasty's foundation was laid by Adolfo Maddens, who founded Fate, the country's top tire manufacturer. He built the company into a household name, making Fate tires a symbol of Argentine industry. But it was his nephew, Manuel Maddens, who took the family to a whole new level. Manuel was a visionary who saw the future in a different kind of heavy industry: aluminum. In the 1970s, he led the creation of Aluar, Aluminio Argentino, a massive project to make Argentina self-sufficient in aluminum. This wasn't just a business. It was a project of national strategic importance, launched in partnership with the government. That move showed the family knew how to play at the highest levels of business and politics. Aluar grew to become the country's only primary aluminum producer and one of the largest in South America. The Maddens empire basically controlled near monopolies in two key industries. If you drove a car in Argentina, you probably had Fate tires. The aluminum in everything from buildings to cans likely came from Aluar. But all that power led to internal conflict. After Manuel's death, a bitter family feud erupted over who would control the massive conglomerate. In the end, it was Manuel's son, Javier Maddens Quintanilla, who won the battle and took charge of the empire. He has successfully guided the family's businesses through Argentina's endless economic storms, keeping their dominant market position. Today, under his watch, the Medanes family still controls Aluar and Fate, a legacy of heavy industry that has defined the country's industrial landscape. Number 6. The Sigman family, the pharmaceutical and agribusiness innovators. Our sixth entry is a modern power couple whose empire, Grupo Insud, is built on brains, partnership, and diversification. Dr. Hugo Sigman, a psychiatrist, and his wife, Dr. Sylvia Gold, a biochemist, have built one of Argentina's most dynamic and science-driven conglomerates, with deep roots in pharmaceuticals and a huge presence in agribusiness, media, and even film. Their story started in the shadow of political darkness. After the 1976 military coup in Argentina, Sigman and Gold went into exile in Spain. It was there, in 1977, that they founded their first company, Chemo, with a loan from Sylvia's father. Chemo started small, but it was built on a rock-solid foundation of scientific expertise. When they returned to Argentina in the 1980s, they brought a thriving global business with them. And what they've built since is incredible. Grupo Insud is now a giant in the life sciences. It includes Chemo, which makes pharmaceutical ingredients for companies worldwide, Exeltis, which is focused on women's health, and Emabaxience, a biotech company that develops cutting-edge medicines and was the first in South America able to produce monoclonal antibodies. During the COVID-19 pandemic, their firm was involved in producing the AstraZeneca vaccine, showing just how critical they are to public health. But the Sigman Gold empire doesn't stop with medicine. They've expanded into all sorts of other areas. Their agribusiness division, Biogenesis, Bago, is a world leader in animal health, especially in making the vaccine for foot and mouth disease. Their cultural projects include Kramer and Sigman Films, the production company behind award-winning movies like Wild Tales, Relatos Salvajes, and the publishing house Editorial Capital Intellectual. Today, Grupo Insud is a family affair, with Hugo and Sylvia at the helm, perfectly blending business savvy and scientific rigor. Their commitment to innovation is matched by their charity work through the Mundo Sano Foundation, which fights neglected tropical diseases. The Sigman family represents a new kind of Argentine dynasty, where deep scientific knowledge is the bedrock of a global empire that keeps pushing the limits of what an Argentine company can do. If you're finding these stories of resilience and empire building as fascinating as we do us a favor and hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. We explore the world's most powerful families and businesses every week, and you won't want to miss what we have coming up next. Number 5. The Wertheim family, the masters of diversification and influence. If you want to talk about power and influence in Argentina, you have to talk about our number 5, the Wertheims. For over a century, this dynasty has mastered the worlds of farming, finance, and telecom, all while playing a leading role in both national and international Jewish life. Their story is a masterclass in strategic diversification and the art of making the right connections. The family's journey in Argentina started in 1904, when Leon Wertheim and his family fled persecution in Bessarabia, part of the Russian Empire. They settled on the rural Pampas, started with a small general store, and eventually got into livestock and agriculture. In 1928, his sons officially founded the family's first major company, Gregorio Numo y Noel Wertheim S.A., an agribusiness firm that is still a core part of their holdings. Today, from those agricultural roots, the Wertheims slowly and deliberately expanded their empire. Julio Wertheim, one of the brothers, led the family's push into finance, co-founding a major bank in the 1950s. They turned out to be brilliant bankers, even opening international credit lines when Argentina's economy was closed off to the world. The family became legendary for their timing, an almost spooky ability to get into and out of businesses at just the right moment, often multiplying their investments. Their portfolio became a sprawling collection of some of Argentina's most important assets. For years, they were major shareholders in Telecom Argentina, one of the country's biggest telecommunications companies. They've owned pieces of everything from the popular tea brand Cachamay to insurance and real estate. Their biggest recent move came in 2021, when their investment group, Vrio, bought DirecTV and Sky in Latin America, making them huge players in the region's media and entertainment world. Beyond business, the Wertheim family has always been deeply involved in public life. Noel Wertheim co-founded Tel Aviv University, and more recently, Gerardo Wertheim served as president of the Argentine Olympic Committee for over a decade before being named Argentina's ambassador to the United States and then foreign minister, showing off the family's deep political ties. Today, a new generation is helping run the group, ensuring this century-old dynasty remains one of the most powerful and well-connected forces in Argentina. Number 4. The Mindlin family, the energy kingpin. At number 4, meet Argentina's king of energy, Marcelo Mindlin. In less than 20 years, he built Pampa Energia from nothing into one of the largest and most powerful energy companies in the country, with assets in electricity generation, transmission, and oil and gas. His story is all about bold ambition, smart acquisitions, and a gut-level understanding of Argentina's crazy economic cycles. Born in 1964, Marcelo Mindlin didn't start in energy. He started his career in real estate and finance, working closely with another future billionaire, Eduardo Elstein. For more than a decade, Mindlin was a key player at the real estate giant Ursa, helping build its shopping mall empire and its stake in Banco Hipotecario. But in 2003, Mindlin decided to go out on his own. He left Ursa and, with a small team of trusted partners, started hunting for deals in the aftermath of Argentina's catastrophic 2001 economic crisis. As he put it, "I always trusted that in Argentina crises are harsh, but they also give you unique opportunities to grow." His big bet was on energy. In 2005, his group bought an inactive, publicly listed meatpacking plant called Frigorifico Pampa and used it as a shell company to start buying up energy assets. This vehicle was renamed Pampa Energia. Their first huge acquisition was Transener, the company that operates Argentina's entire high-voltage electricity grid. It was a strategic masterstroke that gave them control over a vital piece of national infrastructure. From there, the acquisitions came fast. They bought power plants, electricity distributors, and a piece of the gas transportation company TGS. But the defining moment came in 2016. In a move that shocked everyone, Mindlin's Pampa bought the Argentine assets of the Brazilian oil giant Petrobras for nearly $900 million. This instantly transformed Pampa from an electricity company into a major player in oil and gas, with huge operations in the Vaca Muerta shale formation, one of the largest unconventional oil and gas reserves on the planet. Today, Marcelo Mindlin is the undisputed king of Argentine energy, with his family, including his brother Damian and son Nicholas, holding key roles. He's also a major philanthropist and a leader in the Jewish community, having chaired the Tzedakah Foundation and helped create the Holocaust Museum of Buenos Aires. The Mindlin Empire is a modern dynasty, built on financial genius and the nerve to make massive bets when everyone else is running for cover. Number 3. The Elstein family, the real estate and land baron. At number 3, we have a family that practically owns the ground Argentina stands on, the Elsteins. Led by the brilliant and enigmatic Eduardo Elstein, this dynasty controls a vast empire that includes most of Argentina's major shopping malls, iconic office buildings, thousands of hotel rooms, and a truly mind-boggling amount of fertile farmland, making them the country's most powerful landlords. The family's roots in real estate go back to Eduardo's grandfather, Isaac, who came to Argentina from Poland in 1917 and started developing properties in the 1950s. The family founded the real estate company Ursa in 1943, but it was Eduardo who turned it into the beast it is today. The turning point came in the early 90s. With Ursa in trouble, a young Eduardo Elstein audaciously flew to New York and talked his way into a meeting with the legendary billionaire investor George Soros. He walked out with a $10 million investment and a partnership that would launch an empire. With Soros's money behind him, Elstein took over Ursa and went on a buying spree. He snatched up undervalued office buildings and developed a network of premier shopping centers, including famous names like Alto Palermo and Abasto Shopping. His strategy was to dominate high-end commercial real estate, and he succeeded spectacularly. The empire expanded to include luxury hotels like the famous Lau Lau in Bariloche, and even international properties, including a major stake in New York's iconic Lipstick Building. But Elstein's ambitions went beyond the city. In 1994, he took over Cresud, a major agricultural company. Under his leadership, Cresud became one of the biggest landowners in Latin America, controlling hundreds of thousands of hectares of prime farmland in Argentina, Brazil, Bolivia, and Paraguay. This move gave him a commanding position in the two pillars of the Argentine economy, the city and the countryside. The Elstein Empire is a complex web of companies, but at its heart are Ursa for real estate and Cresud for agriculture. He also holds a controlling stake in Banco Hipotecario, Argentina's leading mortgage bank. Eduardo Elstein is known for his deep religious faith and leadership in the global Jewish community, but also for his cunning business deals, which have sometimes stirred up controversy. He has built a multi-billion-dollar dynasty that literally owns a huge piece of Argentina, from its fanciest malls to its vast, fertile plains. Number 2. The Eskenazi family, the rise and fall of an oil empire. In our number 2 spot is a family with the most dramatic and cautionary tale in modern Argentine business history, the Eskenazis. Their meteoric rise to control a huge piece of Argentina's largest company, the oil giant, YPF, and their equally spectacular fall is a saga of debt, political power, and high-stakes corporate drama. The dynasty was built by patriarch Enrique Eskenazi, who made his fortune over decades in construction and banking through the family's holding company, Grupo Peterson. For years, they were a powerful but pretty normal business group. That all changed in the late 2000s, under President Nestor Kirchner. In a move that stunned the business world, the Eskenazi family was chosen to Argentinize YPF, which was then controlled by the Spanish company Repsol. Between 2008 and 2011, Grupo Peterson bought a 25% stake in YPF. But here's the wildest part. The Eskenazis barely paid $1 of their own money. The deal was financed with loans from banks and from Repsol itself, with the understanding that the debt would be paid off using future dividends from YPF. It was the deal of a lifetime, making the family billionaires overnight and putting Enrique's son, Sebastian, in charge of Argentina's most important company. For a few years, the Eskenazis were at the absolute peak of corporate power. They were kings of the energy sector and had massive political influence. But their entire empire was built on a mountain of debt, completely dependent on that steady stream of YPF dividends. The fall came fast and hard in 2012. President Cristina Fernández de Kirchner, Nestor's successor, announced the government was renationalizing YPF by seizing 51% of its shares from Repsol. It was political theater. government ministers famously stormed the YPF headquarters and unceremoniously kicked Sebastian Eskenazi and his directors out of the building. The dividend payments that were supposed to pay off the Eskenazis' massive debt were cut off. With their income gone, their holding companies went bankrupt. The aftermath was a legal nightmare. The bankrupt companies sold their right to sue to a hedge fund, Burford Capital, which then sued Argentina for billions, arguing, the government broke the rules by not making an offer to all shareholders. This led to a monumental U.S. court judgment against Argentina for over $16 billion. While the Eskenazi family says they won't see a dime from this judgment, their name is forever tied to one of the biggest corporate and political meltdowns in the nation's history. They still have their banks and construction businesses, but their brief, dazzling, and ultimately disastrous reign as oil barons is a powerful reminder of what can happen at the dangerous crossroads of business and politics in Argentina. Number 1. The historical Jewish gauchos and agricultural cooperatives. And now, for our number 1 spot. This might be a surprise. It's not a single family, but a collective force that laid the very groundwork for Jewish economic success in Argentina and created a legacy that is still powerful today. The Jewish gauchos and their agricultural cooperatives. While individual families on this list built bigger, personal fortunes, the collective impact of this movement was arguably the most transformative, creating the social and economic bedrock from which so many other success stories grew. As we talked about at the start, this story begins with Baron de Hirsch's project to settle thousands of Jewish refugees from the Russian Empire on the Argentine pampas. These were families fleeing for their lives, dropped into a harsh, strange land with the radical goal of becoming farmers. The early years in colonies like Moisesville were incredibly difficult. But out of that struggle came a revolutionary idea born of necessity and the socialist ideals they brought from Europe: the agricultural cooperative. In 1900, in the colony of Basavilbaso, Jewish settlers founded the Sociedad Agrícola Israelita, which is recognized as the first cooperative in all of Latin America. The model was genius. Instead of competing, the Jewish gauchos pooled their money to buy seeds, shared equipment, and sold their products like butter and cheese together. This cooperative movement was the engine of their success. It let these small farmers act like a big business, giving them access to credit and building a resilient economic system. They even introduced new crops to Argentina, like sunflowers. Their cooperative model was so successful, it was eventually copied across the country. These colonies became thriving centers of both economic production and rich Jewish culture, with their own schools, libraries, and hospitals. At its peak, the Jewish Colonization Association's project involved hundreds of thousands of people and was a monumental force in developing the Argentine interior. Over the decades, many descendants of these Jewish gauchos moved to the big cities, got an education, and became the doctors, artists, and entrepreneurs who built modern Argentina. While the population of places like Moisesville has gone down, the legacy of this movement is immeasurable. It established a strong, organized, and economically independent Jewish community. It created a powerful story of resilience that inspired generations to come. It is the foundational story of turning desperation into a dynasty, not of a single family, but of a people. For building the very platform for Jewish life and prosperity in the country, the Jewish gauchos and their cooperative movement earn the #1 spot on our list. So there you have it. From the farmlands of the Pampas to the boardrooms of Buenos Aires, the story of Jewish family businesses in Argentina is an incredible saga of resilience, ambition, and adaptation. We've seen the foundational legacy of the Jewish gauchos, who turned dust into thriving communities. We saw industrial titans like the Madones family, pharma pioneers like the Seleckis and Sigmunds, and modern masters of the universe like Wertheim, Mindlin, and Elstein, who became the landlords and energy kings of the nation. We even saw the digital revolution sparked by Gaston Taratuta and the cautionary tale of the Eskenazi oil empire. These 10 stories, as different as they are, all share a common thread. They are all about turning adversity into opportunity. Whether it was fleeing pogroms in the 19th century or navigating hyperinflation in the 20th, these families had an amazing ability to not just survive, but to thrive in the middle of chaos. They didn't just build companies, they built dynasties that have shaped the course of Argentina's economy, leaving a permanent mark on its industries and its identity. Enjoyed this deep dive into the dynasties that shaped a nation? We've got another video on the hidden billionaires of Latin America that you won't want to miss. Click here to watch it now, and let us know in the comments below which of these family sagas surprised you the most. Thanks for watching.